You say you want peace, but you chase noise. You say you want success, but you bathe in distraction. You say you want abundance, but your nervous system is addicted to scarcity, to stress, to the constant storm that keeps you in motion, but never in progress. So let's tell the truth. Abundance is not denied to you. You are rejecting it every time you choose chaos over clarity. Because abundance doesn't compete for attention. It doesn't beg. It doesn't knock twice. It waits patiently for the one who is willing to create space for it. But chaos, that's a different story. Chaos seduces. Chaos justifies. Chaos is what you've known for so long that silence feels like danger and stillness feels like death. But what if the very thing you fear, stillness, order, peace, is the soil in which wealth actually grows? You weren't born chaotic. You were trained to chase the fire, trained to feel valuable when things are burning, trained to feel alive when you're barely surviving. And now you call that normal. You call that your personality. You call that just how I am, but it's not who you are. It's who you became in response to an environment that rewarded dysfunction. You want to attract abundance. Start by detoxing your addiction to chaos. To drama, to distraction. To being overstimulated and underfulfilled. Because you can't receive what you don't have room for. Your calendar is full, but your soul is starving. Your inbox is overflowing, but your purpose is empty. You scroll for connection, but drown in comparison, and you wonder why nothing sticks. Why every success slips through your fingers like water. Why you make money and lose it. Why love arrives and disappears. Why nothing ever feels enough. It's not because you're broken. It's because abundance can't land on turbulence, and you've turned your life into a permanent state of motion sickness. But here's the secret most will never admit. If your nervous system equates safety with chaos, then peace will feel like punishment. So you sabotage. You create urgency where there is none. You pick fights with people who love you. You overwork. You overspend. You overthink. Because deep down, you've mistaken tension for meaning. And now, stillness feels like insignificance. But you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. And you cannot rise in a system that you refuse to rewrite. So stop trying to attract a higher life while defending a lower frequency. You can't manifest clarity while entertaining confusion. You can't call in wealth while worshiping disorder. You can't build an empire with a mind that can't sit still for 5 minutes. Abundance is not attracted to your hustle. It's attracted to your alignment. And alignment doesn't come through adrenaline. It comes through awareness. It comes through healing. It comes when you stop reacting and start remembering who you were before the noise took over. That version of you still exists. Beneath the alarms, beneath the overthinking, beneath the fear, beneath the need to always have something to fix, someone to prove wrong, or something to run from. That version of you, the calm, powerful, grounded creator, that's who abundance recognizes. But you've got to break the cycle, because right now, you are hardwired for crisis. You wake up with anxiety and call it ambition. You answer emails in bed and call it responsibility. You fill every silence with sound and call it being productive. But underneath it all is a deep, aching truth. You are exhausted by the chaos you've normalized. And here's what no one else will tell you. That exhaustion, it's not weakness. It's a signal, a sacred nudge from your soul saying, it's time to stop surviving and start living. You don't need another to-do list. You need a pattern interrupt. You need to disrupt the addiction to urgency and install a new identity rooted in calm strength. That's where abundance flows. It doesn't need to chase you. It just needs you to stop running. Because when you calm the chaos inside, everything outside starts to organize. Money finds you. Opportunities appear. People respect your energy without you having to demand it. Because you finally stopped operating like a wounded warrior and stepped into the rhythm of someone who is already worthy. Not worthy because you did more. Not worthy because you proved more. Worthy because you are finally ready to receive. So let this be the day you declare a new standard. Not more noise, not more hustle, not more chaos in a different costume. This time, let it be peace, let it be order. Let it be abundance born from alignment, not adrenaline. Let your nervous system learn that it is safe to slow down, that you don't have to suffer to succeed. that you don't have to fight every battle to earn rest, that you don't have to live in chaos to feel alive. You are allowed to win quietly. You are allowed to grow gracefully. You are allowed to succeed without the storm. And if you want to attract a life that's different, you've got to become someone who no longer worships the chaos they claim to hate. You think chaos keeps you sharp. You think pressure makes you powerful. You think if you let go of the fire, you'll lose your edge. But hear me, the edge was never the fire. The edge was the focus. And the fire, that was the lie. The chaos didn't sharpen you. It scarred you. It didn't grow you. It drained you. And the longer you cling to it, the more abundance will slip through your hands. Not because it's not for you, but because it refuses to live in a space that was never built to hold it. You say you want more success, more clarity, more joy, but every time you get close, you stir the pot. You pick the wrong battles. You check the wrong screens. You answer the wrong calls, because chaos is comfortable and order feels like exposure, like silence you don't know how to sit in, like power you haven't practiced holding. But let me tell you something sacred. If your nervous system only recognizes chaos as home, then peace will feel like a stranger until you teach it otherwise. Abundance doesn't come to those who chase. It comes to those who align. It comes to those who clear the clutter, internally and externally. It comes to those who make space. You want miracles. Clean the table. Make room. Stop hosting panic and then praying for peace. You want money to flow. Track every dollar with reverence. Stop leaking it through distraction, disorder, and disorganization. Stop using chaos as your excuse to avoid facing your truth. Because here's the truth most people avoid. They aren't afraid of failure. They're afraid of stillness. Because in stillness, you hear everything. In stillness, you hear the lies you told yourself. You hear the wounds you buried. You hear the dreams you ignored. You hear the responsibility whisper. It's not the world. It's not them. It's you. And that truth, that's where your power begins. Because once you stop running, you realize you were never being chased. It was just your old identity screaming not to be replaced. But that identity, the one addicted to chaos, that version of you must die. If you want the next level to live, let it. Let the version of you that needed chaos be laid to rest. Let the part of you that confused stress with success be released. Let the habits, the cycles, the excuses, all of it, burn in the fire you once called normal. And rise. Not louder. Not faster. Not busier. Just clearer. Calmer. Stronger. Because true power is not in noise. It's in presence. It's not in force. It's in frequency. And when your frequency is steady, the world adjusts. People stop disrespecting you. Money stops avoiding you. Opportunities start chasing you. Not because you hustled harder, but because you finally became someone who can hold them. You want to be trusted with abundance. Become someone who respects peace, because peace is a sign of readiness. And readiness, not hustle, is the magnet for wealth. The universe doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what you match. And if you match chaos, you'll keep getting lessons instead of blessings. You'll keep getting fires instead of fruit. You'll keep getting cycles instead of elevation. So make the shift. Choose clarity. Choose organization. Choose calm, not as weakness, but as the ultimate flex. Because in a world addicted to chaos, the calm one is king. The calm one sees clearly. The calm one hears what others miss. The calm one knows when to strike, when to rest, when to move. And the calm one always wins in the end. Because chaos may be fast, but it burns out. It collapses under its own weight. But peace is sustainable. Peace is scalable. Peace is the platform that abundance stands on. So if you've been wondering why it hasn't come yet, why the money, the love, the clarity, the opportunity feels just out of reach, it's not because you're not trying hard enough. It's because you're trying in the wrong frequency. Shift the frequency, and everything will follow. Do you know what happens when you finally choose peace? Everything that was never real begins to fall away. The fake friendships, gone. The frantic busyness, irrelevant. The illusions you built just to survive, exposed. And it's terrifying at first. Because when chaos leaves, clarity arrives. And clarity doesn't lie. Clarity says, you've been living beneath yourself. You've been pretending productivity is purpose. You've been so busy surviving, you forgot what it feels like to actually be alive. But clarity isn't cruel. It's correction. It's a sacred confrontation with everything you used to settle for. And on the other side of that confrontation is creation. The kind of creation that doesn't come from force, but from flow, from alignment, from structure, from silence so deep it reveals what your soul was trying to tell you all along. You were made for more, but more can't find you when you're married to mess. So no, you don't need to grind more. You don't need to scream louder. You don't need to go to war with the world every time you want to grow. You need to unclench. You need to unlearn. You need to unplug from the patterns that taught you success only comes with suffering. Because that's not growth, that's trauma in a tuxedo. That's burnout wearing a productivity badge, that's pain being passed off as passion. And that ends now, today. You don't get to call in wealth while entertaining drama. You don't get to manifest a life of peace while living in mental clutter. You don't get to preach abundance while poisoning yourself with overstimulation and overcommitment. You want freedom? Start by clearing the chaos. Start by letting go of your addiction to urgency. Start by choosing a path so clean, so focused, so disciplined that abundance has no choice but to sit at your table and stay. Because abundance is not a gift. It's a result, a byproduct. The natural consequence of internal alignment and external order. Look at nature. It doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. It doesn't panic, yet it thrives. It flows. It adapts, it evolves, in silence, in cycles, in sacred timing. And so must you. There's nothing abundant about your chaos. There is nothing noble about your overwhelm. There's nothing powerful about your inability to rest. You are not a martyr. You are not a machine. You are a creator. And a creator needs space. Not just in your calendar. But in your mind. In your heart. In your spirit. So make space. Clean the kitchen. Shut the tabs. Delete the noise. Cancel the UNALIGNED. Say no to the invitations that keep you small, loud, and lost. And in that space, build rhythm. Build routine. Build rituals that train your nervous system to expect peace. To crave order. To find pleasure in being present. Because once peace becomes your baseline, anything less becomes intolerable. Once discipline becomes your anchor, distraction becomes unattractive. Once you learn how to stand still in a storm, you become the storm. Not in destruction, but in stillness. Stillness that says, I no longer chase. I attract, because I've built a life worthy of what I desire. And when you operate from that truth, everything accelerates. Not because you forced it, but because you became a match for it. That is the paradox of power. The less you need to control, the more things come under your control. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You stopped feeding the chaos. You stopped fueling the fire that kept burning your abundance at the roots. And you finally said, no more. No more urgency. No more proving. No more glorifying the grind. No more wearing burnout like a badge of honor. Double quotes now. You move different. You breathe different. You listen deeper. You think longer. You choose slower. Because you've learned. Slowness is not weakness. It's mastery. And in mastery, abundance always flows. Mastery doesn't live in chaos. Mastery doesn't scream. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't demand recognition. It doesn't rush. Mastery is quiet. It's calm. It's consistent. And it's that consistency, the steady rhythm of order over impulse, presence over panic, vision over reaction, that builds the life most people only dream of. Because here's what you've got to understand if you want to step into abundance. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. You attract what you tolerate. You attract what you normalize. And if your nervous system is constantly firing, if your life is filled with noise, if your attention is split across 10 unfinished priorities, if your calendar is packed but your soul is starving, you are not a match for abundance. You are a magnet for exhaustion. So ask yourself, what kind of energy are you living in? What kind of chaos are you calling normal? What kind of story are you rehearsing every single day silently that says, I can't slow down. If I don't do it all, no one will. If I stop, now everything falls apart. Is that truth or trauma? Because I'm here to remind you, you were not created to carry everything. You were created to command, to direct. To focus. To build something beautiful, not burn yourself to the ground, trying to please what will never be satisfied. And here's the final shift. Abundance doesn't feel like adrenaline. It feels like alignment. It feels like breath. It feels like deep inner stillness, not because nothing is happening, but because you're finally ready to receive what's been trying to reach you all along. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just cluttered. Cluttered by expectations that weren't yours. Cluttered by beliefs that were never true. Cluttered by patterns inherited from people who didn't know better. But you do. Now. You do. You know what peace feels like, even if it's foreign. You know what abundance requires, even if it's uncomfortable. You know what kind of person you must become, even if it means letting go of the one you've been pretending to be. So breathe. Return to yourself and say these words. I no longer worship chaos. I no longer validate stress. I no longer crown dysfunction as a lifestyle. I am done proving. I am done chasing. I am done being addicted to the noise that drowns the very abundance I asked for. Now. I align. I clear. I structure. I simplify. I make space. I invite stillness. I honor peace. And in that peace, I become powerful. Because the world doesn't need another burned out hustler. It needs a focused builder, a calm creator, a grounded leader who radiates wealth from the inside out. You are that leader. You are that builder. You are that calm in the storm the world never saw coming. Not because you fought harder, but because you finally stopped fighting yourself. And now, abundance doesn't have to chase you. It finds you. It recognizes you. It flows to you. Because you're ready. Because you've cleared the chaos. Because you've returned to your center. Because you remembered you were never meant to live in reaction. You were born to create. Create the space. Create the rhythm. Create the peace that builds the life that builds the future, and the future that outlasts the noise. Because it was born in silence,